Losing weight sucks. I used to think I was just bad at it, like genetically doomed to be the guy who starts a diet on Monday and quits by lunch. But it turns out I wasn't the problem. The method was. Because I lost 45 pounds in 90 days. Without the gym, without running, and without being more active than your average office worker who also works from home. Basically, I lost weight the lazy, idiot proof way, and it worked. I used to think that losing weight was like solving some complicated puzzle. You know, macros, meal timing, counting steps, and having 17 different diet rules that all contradict each other. Every time I tried to do it properly, I would end up with a spreadsheet, a color coded meal plan, and the motivation level of a potato. And the worst part was that every diet made me feel like I was the problem. Like I wasn't disciplined enough, not smart enough to figure out the system. The thing I realized is that if a system only works when you're perfect, it's a bad system. I spent years thinking I needed to get smarter. Smarter with food, smarter with nutrition, smarter with willpower. Turns out the only thing I needed was to stop trying to be smart. At some point, I just burned out. I remember opening yet another perfect meal plan, seeing 12 ingredients that I don't have, and 3 rules that I knew I would break by Thursday, and I just closed the tab. I wasn't even sad. I was tired. Tired of pretending I was ever going to live like that. You know that moment when you realize that you're not failing the diet, but the diet is failing you? That was my moment. I had the realization that I cannot keep doing diets that require me to become a different person before they even start working. Most diets fail in your head before the first meal ever happens. And that's when I thought, maybe I don't need a smarter system. Maybe I need one so stupidly simple even I cannot find a way to mess it up. The moment I stopped trying to be smart about losing weight is the moment it finally worked. Smart me was stressed. Smart me wanted the perfect macros, the perfect routine, the perfect version of myself. Idiot me wanted one thing: make life easier. Idiot me doesn't count calories. Idiot me doesn't read labels, and idiot me doesn't care about what's optimal. Idiot me just asks one question: can I actually stick to this on a bad day? Because that's the real secret that nobody wants to hear. Your weight isn't destroyed by big moments. It's destroyed by small, tired, annoying days when your brain says, fuck it, I'll start again on Monday. That's why I stopped building diets for the best version of myself and started building them for the real version of myself. The one who works from home, the one who doesn't want to cook, the one whose motivation disappears the second there are more than 4 ingredients. And once I accepted that, everything got easier. I quickly learned that most diets fail because they create more decisions than the one that you're trying to fix. Every snack becomes a debate, every meal becomes a calculation, and every day becomes a test you eventually get tired of taking. When I simplified what I ate, the decisions disappeared. I wasn't suddenly more disciplined. I just wasn't being asked to make 20 food decisions a day anymore. And the less I had to decide, the easier the whole thing became. Carnivore was the first diet I tried that didn't ask me to become a different person. No meal prep, no recipes, no timing rules, no mental math. Just meat, salt, eat when hungry, stop when full. It wasn't exciting or trendy or optimal. It was simple enough that even on my worst days, I could still do it. And once the food part became automatic, the weight started coming off without me having to babysit it. And it's not because carnivore is magical, it is because it removed every step where I normally screwed things up. The first thing that changed wasn't my weight, it was how predictable everything became. My hunger stopped jumping around, my energy wasn't crashing in the afternoon, and the cravings that normally ran my day just didn't show up anymore. I wasn't thinking about food, planning the next meal, or negotiating with myself every few hours. Things were just stable. And when things are stable, it's a lot easier to lose weight without feeling like you're constantly restarting. The strange part was how normal everything felt. I wasn't doing anything extreme. I wasn't forcing myself through workouts or trying to hype myself up every morning. I was just eating in a way that didn't fight me all day. And that's when it finally made sense. Losing weight isn't about being smart or motivated. It's about removing the stuff that makes you quit in the first place. Once those things were out of the way, the weight started coming off almost quietly. Like it was just a side effect of living differently, not this giant project I had to obsess over. Once things got simple, I noticed a few patterns that kept me on track. Nothing scientific, just small things that kept working. If I ate foods I actually enjoyed, I didn't go looking for snacks later. If I kept my meals boring enough, I didn't start treating food like entertainment. If I ate enough fat, I wasn't hungry 2 hours later, staring at the fridge like it owed me money. And if something made me overeat once, I stopped buying it. These are not rules. These are more like observations, little adjustments that made the day easier without turning my whole life into a diet. Looking back, the thing that made this work wasn't the diet itself. It was the fact that it finally matched the kind of person I actually am. I don't like complicated routines. I don't enjoy planning food days in advance. And I'm definitely not the meal prep on Sunday type of a guy. I tried being that person. It never really lasted more than a week. But eating in a way that didn't need discipline or motivation or 5 reminders on my phone, that lasted. It's still going. The weight came off because the effort stayed consistent. And the effort stayed consistent because it wasn't effort anymore. It was just how I ate. And once something becomes just how you do things, it stops being a struggle. So, yeah, losing weight for idiots like me came down to something way less dramatic than I expected. Because the way I ate finally matched the kind of person I actually am. Not the version of me that wakes up motivated once every 2 months, just the normal me, who wants things simple and hates overthinking every meal. When the process stopped fighting me, I stopped restarting. And once I wasn't restarting, the weight came off on its own. If you want to try something simple too, there's a free 30-day carnivore challenge in the description. Nothing complicated. Just follow it and see what happens. And if you want the next step, you can watch the simplest carnivore diet guide you'll ever need. Ciao!